Three, two, one. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Nine Hole Podcast. This is your host, Ian Miller. Today, I am joined by another one of my ex-teammates, somebody that I've shared a locker room with, I've looked up to on my own baseball journey, and somebody that's defied the odds in their own career and has put forth a fantastic career. I am joined today by Mr. Nick Vincent, the Cutter Bandit. Nick, what is going on, brother? How you doing?
We're good. We're good. Life's good. We're out here in Austin, Texas, loving life. Beautiful out here right now. Like I said, done with baseball now since 22. So it's been my first year and a half, I guess, off from baseball and since I was 5 years old. So
it's so crazy to think about, dude. Like you've been playing, since 5 years old. You've been surrounded by the game for 20, 30 years, dude. And now it's like, now what do you do, man? We were just talking about it a little before we went live. It's like you get to kind of be surrounded by your family. You get to play dad a little bit more, right? That's a full-time role as opposed to being part-time. Like, dude, I get it. Man, how has it been transitioning out of baseball? Like, how do you miss it? Do you miss playing? Do you feel like you could still fucking suit up and get out there, bro? Like, what is that right now?
I mean, it's been awesome being home. Like, personally, like towards the end of your career, like I was in AAA. Don't miss the 10-hour bus rides. Don't miss the 6-game series anymore. Like, I don't miss that grind, I guess you would say. Yeah. But it's been so nice being home, watching the kids grow up, being dad, being there for every little thing, dance competition, if it's baseball, if it's that. Like, it's awesome to be here for those things now. Especially because my kids now are 6 and 4, so they're in that, like, prime time. Like, they're going to now get going and start doing way more stuff, and you're going to see them excel. More versus when they're like yours is what 10 months you said?
Yeah, just hit the 10-month.
At that point, like as guys, we change diapers and that's kind of all we can do. And it's kind of until they turn like 2, then you're more of like as a dad.
Yeah. That's the only type of help I can offer right now. Is like, dude, let me I'll babysit, right? Let me take her off your hands. I'll change the diapers, whatever I gotta do, man. It's not like I'm the one feeding her, So it's, dude, exactly. I get it, dude. It's cool being present. Dude, so, having a year and a half off since, I mean, you've been suited up, since you've been in the locker room, like, what have you seen from the game as of late? Dude, there have been a plethora of rule changes. Oh, yeah. There have been, tinkers to the game. They're messing with the bags. They're messing with the pitch clock. They're messing with how many times you can look over, pick over, all this stuff, dude. How many times you can step out, fix your batting gloves. Dude, and we're seeing a plethora of arm injuries, bro. What is your take on the state of the game right now?
I don't think it's going in the right direction, personally. I was part of it in 2022 was when they started doing all that with all the time clock and all that. I personally think for players, for fans, people watch it at home, like, when you were a kid growing up, like, you wanted it to be exactly how Ken Griffey held his bat and how he did his batting glove, like Nomar Garciaparra and all those guys. Like,
yeah, dude,
you're taking that whole pre-routine before you do something as a professional athlete out of the game. So now, to me, like, that younger generation, they don't have that, and everything's just kind of sped up. Like, all right, get in there, do your thing as quick as you can, and it's just like you don't experience that, I guess, that enjoyment of the game as much anymore if you play or if you watch it. For sure. And then you go the other way, like the games are too long. They're all this, and I get it. There are some guys that take 30 seconds in between each pitch. Like, yeah, those guys should shut it down a little bit or shorten it down a little bit. But I don't know. I think you kind of try to reinvent baseball. It's not like baseball's a pretty old school sport. I know they're trying to get more viewers and stuff, but it's like, don't change too much about it. Like, it's been this way for a long time. It's been good for a long time. You're still going to get viewers no matter if it's changing the rules or not. I just think there's too many numbers.
For sure.
For the average Joe to be like, look up and like, oh, what's that mean? What's this mean? So to me, it's like less is better.
Yeah. So it's like a complication thing a little bit, dude. It's the way that I explain it to my wife, the way that I talk about it to my friends, my family. It's like, dude, I just feel like it's not the game that I fell in love with as a kid. You know what I mean? Now I got to worry about the pitch clock. I got to worry about, okay, is he going to be picked? Can he even pick over right now? He picked over twice already. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's the wheels are spinning trying to keep up with all the, the changes and stuff. They're changing the bags. They're changing the rules and stuff. And dude, I get it, right? You want to make it as appealing as possible to the people in the stands. But like, it's not really the game that I fell in love with, brother.
Yeah,
It
it's
is what it
definitely
is.
it's. I think it's for me. I think it's hard for MLB to try to stay within the culture that we're in life society now. It's like everything's off the phones, short clips, and like baseball's not that. Baseball is just like
100%.
golf. Like
100%.
it's a long thing. There's nothing you can do with golf to shorten it up. Like it is what it is.
Dude, I
So
couldn't
I
agree
think
more.
if you like it, you like baseball. If you don't, you don't. Like it's just people were. I just read or heard something on a podcast about our attention spans are shorter than ever been because of cell phones and stuff. And it's like our attention span used to be like around 7 or 8 seconds, and now it's like down to 2 or 3. So it's just like it's crazy.
Dude, that's
So
so Shea Hillenbrand was just on here talking about that, dude. It's like, what do you need to be present in baseball? I mean, like 6 to 8 seconds, maybe. Like
yeah,
that's from like when you got to get set and the pitch and then
hmm
whatever play. If it's a triple, right? That's the longest play, or like whatever it is, like 6 to 8
yeah,
seconds is all you need. And then
hmm
shut it down. These kids, they're starting at an early age, bro. They got phones at, 10 years old, whatever, dude, whatever. So I get it, man. It's
yeah,
dude, it's tough, right? It's a
hmm
double-edged sword, dude.
yeah,
Trying to remain relevant in the sport, sell tickets, get viewership, man, but also like preserve the game, dude. It's
yeah,
crazy. But so dude, I am extremely grateful for your time coming on here. Obviously, this is the Nine Hope podcast where,
yeah,
man, I try to provide like the necessary info and insight to the next generation of baseball players, their parents, their coaches, whoever's watching, whoever's in the audience, man. So I wish I had some of this information, man, when I was like, 16, 18, 21, dude. That's the type of info I'm hoping to provide. And dude, it's like just talking about your story, talking about
yeah,
the shit that you've overcome and you've been through. You were an 18-round draft pick. You started at
hmm
JUCO, dude. And you weren't necessarily throwing 100 miles an hour, bro. So just like touching on your story and then having longevity in the big leagues, having a successful career, dude,
yeah.
that's like inspirational to the next generation. Kids can take from that, man. So without further ado, I'd love to talk about your journey in the game, bro. Man, so before you even got to college, right? I touched on starting at JUCO and then
Yeah.
going to Long Beach, dude. Like when you were in high school, when did you know that maybe you were a dude? What was the whole process like trying to get seen, get recruited, and how did you end up at JUCO?
So okay, we'll go how I grew up first. I grew up uh, splitting firewood with my dad. He had a firewood business. So from the age of 3, 4, 5, right in that range, I was starting to split firewood with him and help him with a family business.
Nice.
In baseball, we played baseball all the time. Like baseball was like our hour off of not working. Like we're like, all right, we got baseball practice. Oof. So when we go to baseball, we'd always have fun. Um, but I did that. I did construction with him. We did tree service. Like he was a man of multiple tasks that he was good at doing. So I learned early on what hard work was. So baseball, when I played baseball, I always had that like competitive edge. I always wanted to be good, and I've learned that just playing wiffle ball with the neighborhood kids. Like we had 6 boys or 7 boys in our like 3 houses, so we were always playing something. If it was wiffle ball, if it was football, if it was basketball, we were always playing just whatever sport was in season. We were doing
Love it.
because you wanted to be like. I mean, I'm from San Diego, so like San Diego area, like Tony Gwynn. You wanted to be Steve Finley. You wanted to be Kevin Brown. Like you always imitated those guys playing football, and then basketball was Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Shaq, like
Yep.
all those guys. So like we had premier athletes to look up to, and that's what back then sports was huge. That's one of the biggest was ever. And now it's just so hard now with like I said the phones. Like it's
Yeah.
just so hard to go outside and do all that with your friends when everybody now just stays inside on their phones and stuff. It's like as parents we have to kind of manage that I guess load of cellular use and be like, hey, go down to Tommy's house and play football and do this. So it's not like it's hard because one family might do it and the other family might not do it. So
Yeah, for sure, dude.
it's a weird road. But like I said, I mean I loved growing up when we did. Like it was just easier times when we grew up. We have to deal with all these extra factors to deal with.
Yeah.
So like I said, I worked a bunch. High school, I went to Ramona High School, small town out in San Diego County, up in the hills. Like if anybody asks you, like if I'm talking to somebody from San Diego, like where are you from? I'm like Ramona. They're like, oh well, you're way up there. Like you're in the sticks. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really like you think San Diego like beach life. Like that's not me. So I was in the country town of San Diego. Went to high school up there, and I was a buck 35. maybe 135 pounds. I was 83 to 86. I had a little loopy curveball and a splitter, or like a
This
forkball.
this is in maybe like junior, senior year of high school when you are like able to be recruited.
Yes, and I had no scouts talk to me, zero, because I was small, and that was always my thing. It's like, you're too small. I was like, all right, and I always used that as like, okay, I got to prove these people wrong again. So what was it? Junior college. My buddy that was on my high school team, they wanted him to try out because he threw hard. He was like 90, but he had a good curveball. We tried out in the summer league or summertime, and he was doing good, but like during the tryouts, I literally gained like 3 miles an hour. I self-taught a slider to myself in like my last like 3 games of high school, because I was throwing two seam. I was like, if I can get the ball to move like that, like I'm just gonna move the seams and put my fingers on the other side. And I started ripping it, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Why have I not like learned this my whole high school career? So like I learned a slider, and like that's what separated me into going into tryouts, was that. Like,
Really?
my slider was, it was wipeout. Like I could just throw wherever, no one hit it. So that was when, like, I think it was more like it was that pitch, going somewhere where we actually worked out. Like we didn't work out in high school, conditioning, all that stuff. Like it was just the game stepped up so much just from high school to junior college. Like, wow, why didn't I learn any of this in high school? But being a small town, that's where I kind of think we just didn't have the caliber of baseball as everywhere else does. So, like I said, I learned at junior college, like if I want to make this team, like I got to be as good as these guys. So like I separated myself with conditioning. I always tried to be like first. Like I was always that guy. I was like, I'm gonna give my effort on the field, and like running and throwing a baseball and all that wasn't hard for me because I did firewood and construction and hitting stakes and pouring concrete, like all that. Like that was hard compared to running poles for a pitcher. So the work ethic definitely helped me, I would say, through my whole career, my work ethic.
Love that.
But yeah, like and even went to junior college, I think I was the last guy to make the cut my first year. And I want to say somebody got hurt. I took into the third starter for the rotation, and like literally light bulb switched, and that was where I knew, like, all right, baseball's a thing. Because I think I had like it was like a 1-3 or 1-4 my first 5 starts. And I struck out 10 guys, like my first 3 starts, and I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but like this is awesome.
Just riding it.
Like for me, I don't know what's going on, but this is awesome. And ended up getting hurt that year, doing some just junior college stuff, going out with the boys, try to pitch 2 days later, elbow gets hurt. So I'm out that year. Pitched again the next year, went 9-2, like a 1-5. Thought I'd get drafted. Didn't get drafted because the scouts were like, oh, we want to see you one more year. We want to see you go D1. I was like, well, I can't go D1. I still got one more year here. So I had 3 years at junior college. Oh. Because I redshirted my first year.
Got it.
Redshirted my first year, so I played 2 more years. Went to the junior college, I think, all-star like case. And they pick just like a handful of guys from each team, and they make like one game. And that's where a bunch of scouts come out.
Okay.
And that was the first time I hit 90. And there was like 3 or 4 schools call me right after that. And I was like, okay, so this is fun. Ended up going to Long Beach State because of the pitching coach there, Troy Buckley. He was, back then they were the cream of the crop for baseball. It was the Weavers, the Abe Alvarez, the Troy Tulowitzkis, like they knew baseball. And I had a buddy who was 2 years ahead of me that went to Ramona High School, went to Long Beach State. I called him. I was like, hey, what do you got? He goes, if you want to play baseball in the big leagues, like, go here. So it pretty much slimmed it down for me. It wasn't the best like scholarship, but I was like, I'm not trying to go to get like full rides. I'm just trying to go to where I can learn baseball and excel
for sure,
farther than where I'm at.
You just get the opportunity, man. So you created this opportunity. You're not the biggest dude in the world. You don't have the most outstanding repertoire. You fucking learn hard work. You learn a pitch, right? You kind of like, man, you ride that momentum. You ball out, you get out of junior college, you get to Long Beach, dude, and you put together solid, successful numbers, dude.
Yeah.
The rest is obviously history. You get taken in the 18th round, which, as you well know, isn't sexy, right? But
No.
like a partial scholarship at a D1 school, it is an opportunity, dude.
Yeah.
So you're kind of thrust into that world, dude. 18th round, you probably don't sign for $3 million, right? So you're kind of thrust into the minor league life where you're not making a ton of money, and the opportunities plenty, but you also have to show up. You got to work out, and it's dude. As you know, the minor leagues, it's about weeding the guys out that can't like move forward or can't move on, right? So it's like you kind of just sift through them, and the diamonds in the rough kind of just keep progressing, dude. So like, what was the minor league life for you? Like, what was the minor league experience like for you? And maybe what don't the next generation of baseball players and their parents, what don't they understand about the minor leagues? They see you being able to do it, a dude that's 135 pounds in high school, excuse me, go to a JUCO, throw 90, right? Then go to D1. It's like, dude, they see you do it. They want to be able to do it. They want to be able to do what you do. Like, what was the minor league life for you, the minor league experience, and what don't they know about it yet?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's a grind. Like, that's the biggest thing they always say is like, it's a grind. And like, I will say Long Beach got us ready for that because like when we went to Long Beach, I thought we were going to get 3 pairs of cleats, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like, we got a pair of cleats, a glove, a pair of shorts, and a shirt that was like reversible. And like, that was what we got until like until season started. Then we got another pair of new cleats when everything like busted out. But like, I grant that like back then, like that's what they did. And like literally, like, when you go to the minor leagues, if you're not a high draft pick, you're not getting anything sent to you. I didn't have an agent. So,
really?
Yeah, I
Dude,
didn't have anything.
What?
I'll get into the whole agent story later. But like, I will go on how I got signed.
Okay.
I had the Astros say like, oh, we're gonna get you like 6th round, blah blah. We're gonna have the other team say around the 8th round. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go top 10, like perfect. And I told my college coaches like, if I don't go top 10, like I'm coming back. I was packing up my stuff at Long Beach, and they Padres call 18th, like, hey, we got you in the 18th round, and I was like, sweet. And I got the phone. I was like pretty bummed. I was like, I'm supposed to go like top 10, like what the. So I was like, whatever. I'm packing up. I'm going back home. I'm going to the river with my brothers and friends. Like, I'll come back to this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because back then we had the draft and follow. You didn't have to sign real quick.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So, we were on the way to the river, I think the next day, and I was having a few with my friends in the truck on the way out to the river, and they called back. They're like, hey, we're going to give you $10,000 and schooling. And I was like, I'm out. I can't do that. Like, I was expecting like 80 to 100,000
for sure.
I think I had through like 33 games with like a 1-7 as like an 8th inning guy at Long Beach. So I was like, I got to get something
for sure.
And I was like, I can't do it. Sorry, guys. Call my parents. I was like, hey, this is what they offered me. I was like, I'm not going unless they raise the money. They call back like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes later, like, all right, we'll do 20 in schooling. And I'm like, in my head, without an agent and all that, I'm like, well, I just doubled my money. The reason I'm playing at Long Beach is to get drafted and be professional. Like,
for sure.
I was like, all right, I'm in. Like,
perfect.
I was like, I'm in. Like, where do I sign? So after the river, we came back, signed the papers, went up to Eugene, Oregon, and then that was the first time of pro ball was up there in Eugene. And then, like I said, the minor leagues, it's a grind. If you like, for high school kids, it's hard to go from being a high school kid to being in pro ball. Like, you have to be mature enough to be able to live with somebody you don't know with. You have to start following a schedule. You have to be there, or you're going to get in trouble. Like,
dude.
There's a lot of responsibilities that go into the minor league ball, like that no one thinks about. Like,
it's grown man shit.
You're away from your mom and dad. You're living by yourself, or you're living with a roommate. You don't get paid nothing. I think it was like $400 every 2 weeks, something like that. Like, when you started like doing the math, you're like, I could make more working at Walmart or Target right
100%,
now.
bro.
Right now, how many hours I spend in the field? Like, this is wild. How is this legal? But I mean, that's why all the actions have taken over the past years to help out minors. So that's
right.
Awesome.
I'm paying taxes on that right now.
Yep. But yeah, it's a grind. It's a business. Once you learn that it's a business early on, like, it's going to help you as a minor leaguer personally. Because I learned it, I think my 3rd year. I was in high A. My first full season was the setup guy. Pitched well. I had like a 308, I think, in the Cal League, which the ball flies.
Oh,
So I thought I pitched well. Next year I come back, I'm the long guy in the same league, and I was like, what just happened? And I learned the fourth rounder who was a starter, who was a stud, a starter. They put him in the eighth inning role because they thought he was going to be an eighth inning guy. And I was like, you can't just. I mean, nowadays that's what they're doing a lot. If they're guys who've been close to the big leagues, but like high AS, it's not where you like either you got it to be a setup guy or that late inning relief, or you don't. Like it's not just because you have good stuff you can handle it.
For sure, it's a mindset shift, right? That's a whole different demon, dude. That I don't even understand. It's like if like I was a leadoff hitter or a 9-hole hitter for my whole career, and then you wanted to try to stick me in the 3-hole or the 4-hole, right? That's a whole different like bag of worms, dude. Just because I can run fast or I can maybe play good defense, you're gonna stick me in the 4-hole, right? To do a whole different job, right? And just have a different mindset, bro. Oof.
So I learned early then, like, all right, this is a business. These guys, these top 10 rounders are going to get more chances than everybody else is going to get. And that's just how it's going to be.
For sure.
What else in the minor leagues? Friendships. You're going to build friendships that are going to last for the rest of your life because you spend so much time playing ball with these guys. It's your second family. And, I mean, to this day, we still got a group text between our AA team. There's probably 6 or 7 of us. They're still in, and just every month we'll say something, see how everybody's doing.
I love that.
But I mean, those are the small things that you don't think about. But like later down the road, like this guy will probably be in your wedding down the road whenever you get married. Like you don't think about it when it starts, but they're definitely friendships that you'll build along the way. People you 100%. Meet, everything like it just helps you further on with your life. Like it's a way of life. Like I said.
I love it, dude. I got that. I have that, man. When I had my wedding a few years back, it's like had some ex-teammates in there, bro. You don't think about it when you kind of start those friendships blossoming, dude. But you carry those with you, man. They last longer than the game, dude. It's crazy how that works. And like you said, dude, you were submersed in it. You are living in a hotel room, or you're living in an apartment with 3 to 4 other dudes, depending on if you got the bed or you got the floor. Like it is what it is. If you got the air mattress or you have a real bed, like it is what it is, man. I remember being in AAA Tacoma, right? AAA Tacoma Rainiers. I think that's when we were playing with each other. And dude, I'm 27 years old with a girlfriend that lives with me, and we're in Tacoma, Washington, which is just outside of Seattle. So everything is pretty fucking expensive. And I'm living in a almost $3,000 a month apartment, making. I'm clearing like $900 every 2 weeks. Dude. It's not a recipe for success. You know what I mean? And you play in these big cities where the prices are jacked up, dude. I get it. So it is an absolute grind physically as much as mentally, emotionally, all that stuff, dude. So you're able to progress, man. You start like knocking on the door, man. You maybe have an idea of like, dude, this could be happening at any time. I'm playing well. I'm pitching well. You debut at 25, man. Did you have a cool call-up story? Was there any type of like, did you see in the movies where like people get, the perfect call-up story, all this stuff? Mine was just like a handshake, like, hey, dude, you haven't been up to the big leagues before. You're going up. Good luck. Like that's all it was for me. Everybody seems to have cool call-up stories, dude. Do you have any one of those?
Mine was the opposite. Mine was we were driving home from Tucson. I think I pitched like a day or so before this, maybe 2 days before, and I gave up a grand slam and a walk and another hit, and I think I gave up 5 runs. So I got pulled at the end. It went like 0.1. I get a call 2 days later as we're driving home to our apartments, me and my roommate, Colt Hines, and manager calls, and he's like, hey, come back to the field, get your stuff. You're going to San Diego. I was like, whoa. I was like, bullshit. I was like, what do you mean? I'm pitching like shit right now. What do you mean? They're like, I don't know. Come get your stuff. You're going there. I was like, you're fucking with me. Like, there's no way. And he goes, no, like, I don't joke around about this. Come get your stuff. You're leaving tomorrow at 6 a.m. I was like,
oh my God.
Like, just your whole life just like goes like this. And I'm like, whoa, like that shock you get through your body of just like, what's going on? So I hung up the phone, told him, I was like, hey, we got to go back. He goes, why? He goes, I'm packing my stuff. I'm going to San Diego tomorrow. He goes, he's like, he starts like screaming. He goes, no way. Yeah.
I love that, man.
So we go back, get my stuff, come, and I think of it now, like I think I was the only guy on the 40-man roster that they could call up. at the time because everybody else was either hurt or there was something around it. So like
Gotcha.
I went up and like literally I think I was emergency of emergency. Like they told me this 2 years later. Like, yeah, you weren't ever gonna pitch in this when you came up. Like you were the last ones gonna throw. Like we would have went 15 innings, then you were gonna be in. I was
I love
like,
it.
in my head, I was like, oh, thank God. Like went
Yeah,
from
you wish you would have
I'm
known
not
that.
like confidence wise, like pitching. I was like, I'm not pitching good at all. I'm pitching like crap. I don't want to get called right now. Like that's not how you want it to be.
I
Like
get it, 100%, bro.
so, I think I got called up. That was like May, I think. Um, I warmed up once, didn't go in. I was like, thank God, holy moly, I'm not ready for this right now. And then the next day it was a smooth game. Like started went 6, and then it was like the dudes in the back of the bullpen, like Thatcher, Gregerson. I think who was the closer? Street maybe it was Dale
Okay.
Thayer. I forget. Then they sent me down after that game.
Okay.
So I was like, whew. But then like, I sat down, I was like, holy mackerel, like, that was wild.
I'm
And I was
dude,
like,
and then you go back down. I'm sure you got an insane amount of confidence, right? I mean, hopefully that's like a fresh start. You
well, no,
recycle.
it wasn't even like that. I was just because I rolled my ankle that year in spring training.
Mm,
So like I was trying to rush back from that because that was my first year on the 40-man roster. So
gotcha.
like I was doing bad stuff in my rehab. Like I was throwing in a boot, like all this stuff where I was not supposed to be doing until your foot's fully healed. Then you can start putting the right amount of pressure in it. So like that whole season was like a learning curve for me on the whole injury
Oof.
things.
Oof.
So like I said, like I was pitching terrible. I think when I went down, I got sent down to Double A because there was so many guys in Triple A that were like on the cusp. There was me, Brad Boxberger,
Mm,
uh, Miles Michaelis. Like we had a lot of guys in the Padres bullpen that were good,
dudes.
and they were getting their chances while I was pitching like crap. Like they were going up. So finally got my ankle better in Double A, and started pitching with confidence. Put like a week and a half good together, and then I got called again and debuted, I think, in Houston. That's back when they were in the NL.
Oh,
And that was my first like taste of pitching on the big league fields was that.
dude, that fires me up. Obviously, like coming from getting up there at 25, maybe having not a lack of confidence, but your confidence is a little hurt because you're not necessarily putting up the best numbers, going back down, that confidence back up, coming back up, and then just being able to kind of like revert it back to where you came from. JUCO, 18th round, 135 pounds in high school, throwing fucking, mid 80s, and then you're 90 at JUCO, and then you piece together a fantastic year at Cal, dude. It's like from where you come from, and then 18th round, you get up there at 25 years old, and then you have parts of 10 seasons in the big leagues, like, and you have successful seasons, you have a successful career, just being able to kind of like show to everybody, like, dude, I'm more than just kind of the price tag that was put on me or the round I was taken in or, my JUCO. Like that's cool. Being able to show people that like it's possible, I can do it. From your longevity point of view, right? Having longevity in the big leagues, having a successful career in the big leagues, like what is the difference between the dudes? I'll say, like me, maybe got up there. And dude, I got lucky, right? I got lucky, man. I got up there and like everything worked out, call it luck. I was prepared for it. I was prepared as fuck. So like any type of luck that came my way, I was deserving of it, dude. But I got up there, I got a September call up, and then I got a week with the Cubs, dude. So like what is the difference between dudes that have longevity and dudes maybe that just get like a day? You know what I mean? Like what is the difference between the caliber of player?
I think the biggest thing I think is just the whatever 90% mental, 10% game. Like it's hard when you go up and you don't do well. It's hard to put up numbers while you're not in a good mental state. Like you can't do it. So like the biggest thing for me was always like I flushed it out as a reliever. You have to learn how to flush it out pretty quick, pretty early. I learned that I learned the whole mental side of the game. I learned at Long Beach. And that's where I like learned how to kind of slow things down. That was the biggest thing. It was like, all right, slow things down. When we get 2-0, slow it down.
How? Like, was there a certain way that you were able to do that? Because, bro, I hear it all the time. I talk about it, right, on the 9 Hole podcast. It's like, I try to say that, like, hey man, slow it down. There's certain ways that pitchers can do it. There's certain ways hitters can do it. Like, everybody's kind of got their own unique way. Was
Mhm.
there a certain way that worked for you that enabled you to, like, man, kind of get like centered, get in the zone, and just forget about the shit that's going on?
So Ken Revisa was the sports psychologist that talked to us at Long Beach, and he worked with the Angels. He worked with a bunch of people. He's
Mm,
like one of the best, I think, to do it. His thing was you got to have a focal point, and that's for a pitcher. You could look up at the scores box or something like you step off the mound, look up there, take a deep breath, kind of like let all the bad energy out, and then get back onto the mound.
love it.
His biggest thing was staying in your circle. So anytime you put your foot on that rubber, that was your circle. Like, all right, lock it in.
Mm,
So that you get the sign, you come set, you do your thing. As soon as the pitch is done, or whatever, the hitter hits, swings, misses, or hits the ball, then you can get out of that focus. So the same thing is for infield, outfield. You would put a circle around you. You can do whatever you want. When the pitcher comes set, you get in your circle, you get ready. Like that's when your
damn.
focus is ready, and then you get out of it. So like that was the biggest thing is like having a focal point and being like ready to compete when you had to.
I
And
love
I'll
that.
say that being competitive, and when I get on the mound, like I'm just a different person. You get out there like it's me versus you. I'm gonna beat you. I don't care if it's
For
Ian
sure.
Miller. I don't care if it's Mike Trout. Like I'm gonna strike you out and get you out. And I try to strike out everybody out that I faced as a pitcher because I know like that's just if you can strike them out, less chance you're gonna have room for errors and all that stuff. So
100%, dude. 100%.
it's definitely I will say the mental side is if you can control the mental side and have confidence even though when you're not playing well, that's what's going to keep guys up and performing
Love
to
it.
me.
Dude, no, that makes a ton of sense, man. It makes a ton of sense. So like the next generation and their families, right? The players that want to be aspiring Major League Baseball players, they probably don't understand the mental grind of it. You
Mm-hmm.
see, baseball seasons 162 games, minor
Yeah.
leagues it's 140 plus. Like, dude, if you're not mentally fit, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have an approach, if you don't have strong mentality, a strong mental game, you're gonna fucking crumble, right? That's
Yep.
what it is, man. Dude, it makes a ton of sense what you're saying. Being able to lock
Yeah.
it in, have something that you can kind of revert to, reset, lock you in,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, dude. But what when you're in the big leagues, right? Parts of 10 seasons, dude. What is a day in the life like for you, man? What's your day like? What like let's say in July, like middle of the season, June, July, August,
Yeah.
something like that. What is a day like in the life of an MLB bullpen piece?
MLB bullpens. We get there the earliest. I'm pretty sure the relievers do because we got to be out. I want to say batting practice is at 4. We got to be out there at like 3:30. So usually we're there at like 1:30 to 2:30, depending. Like usually the rookies are there first, 1 to 3 years. They're there early, getting their work in. So then when the closers and setup guys get in, they can get their work in before stretch and throwing time. So that's kind of the ladder or hierarchy in the baseball world is that. Like when you're young, you get in there early, you get your stuff done. When you're older, you got some time and you know that trainers are going to be available when you need them. And that's, like I said, that's a hierarchy. You put in your time, you deserve that.
Amen.
So I get there probably what 1:30. I'd go straight into the hot tub, grab a cup of coffee. So just double waking up. Go in the or I towards later in my career is when I would go out and I'd just go straight from that and I'd go out to the field and start running. I'd do poles or something because my method was see how your body feels first to see what you have to do in the gym.
I love that.
I was never a big guy to go in the gym to roll out, to do this, to that. I was like, that's just a lot of time that I'm wasting. I don't know. Like, does it need to be stretched? Does it not need to be stretched? So I would go out and run. I'm like, okay, my back's kind of tight right now. Like, I need to go in there and roll out my back, stretch out my hamstrings, like, get that figured out. But most of the time, it was like, all right, I feel pretty good, so I'm not really going to do much.
Yeah.
And like, I wasn't like, I threw 89, 91. So I was never a guy to throw hard, and I never had to worry about that max effort kind of feeling where I'm like, oh, if that hurts, I don't know if I'm gonna blow out today kind of deal. Like I was like, oh, that
Yeah.
hurts. Like I'm just gonna have to deal with that today. Like it is what it is. I'll put some more Red Hot on there or Atomic Bomb, whatever. Like that was the routine towards the like probably 16 on. I was like, all right, I'm put it on. It's gonna be hot in the beginning of the game, but it'll cool off, and then when you start stretching and warming up doing your routine for whatever you're gonna do, like it'll heat back up. But we do that. So stretch and throw at 3:30, come in, get some water, go back out for BP for an hour, come back in, eat, and then pretty much then just kind of relax until it's time to be ready for the game.
Love that, dude. Dude, love it. Obviously, like as you progress through your career, as you get older, having a routine, being able to kind of rely on the work before the game plays a great part, especially on the body, dude. The body gets taxed. The mind gets taxed, but the body gets taxed as well, dude. Especially as you progress towards the back end of your career, dude. It's awesome to hear that, man. It's awesome to hear that. Everybody's different. Everybody's got a different routine, man. But obviously, like having that foundation to rely on it, not waste time pregame, get your shit in that you need, not spend time goofing around, all this stuff. It's awesome to hear, dude. It's fantastic to hear. I wanted to peel back that cover a little bit because that's the shit that you don't see as a fan. That's the stuff you don't see, watching the game. You don't see the way that they prepare. You don't see the way that, major league players go about their business before first pitch, man. So I definitely wanted to ask you about that. That fires me up. Best place you've played, dude. Was there a specific spot? Obviously, like when you're on a team, whether you're with Philly, man, or you're with the Giants, like it's you love where you play, right? But was there a specific spot that stood out to you, either on the road or a home field, whatever it was, man, that you were like, man, I fucking love this spot way more than anywhere else? Whether it's the whole experience or it's the field. Like, was there a certain spot that really stood out to you that kind of held that favorite position for you?
Before we get going, I want to go back on the routine, like you were saying. I didn't get too far.
Yeah.
Routine. My biggest thing for routine was in-game routine. So, as a player, you have to find your routine. For me, I was like a 5th, 6th, 7th inning guy, so I would start doing my daily routine in the bullpen 2 innings before I thought I'd pitch. So I think to have success, this goes all into staying in the big leagues. That is like preparing yourself. So when you get your name called, you're ready to go. You're ready to rock and fire. And then when you get out there, it's competing. It's not nothing else. You can't think about anything. It's you. Like I said, you versus me. I think the biggest thing for relievers, pitchers, outfielders, all that, it's just everybody's routine is different, but relievers especially, like theirs is out in the bullpen. So you have to figure out your routine, when you're going to start, when you're going to do this. And it's easier for like when you're the setup closer 7th inning guy, but when you're those middle relievers that don't know when they're going in, like you have to be ready from pretty much like the 4th inning on.
Yeah.
You got to watch the game. You got to understand it. But like finding a routine that works for you is huge.
I love it.
I would say that's a huge step that if people want to continue to be good at baseball and further on their careers, like find that routine when you're in the minor leagues or in college or whatever. Like routines will change too.
For sure.
You say you're not superstitious, but we're superstitious. Like you didn't do your routine that day and you didn't do well, that's probably why.
100%, man.
But yeah, having a routine is a huge thing, just in sports in general. And I mean, it's just life.
Definitely.
Like, now my routine is different. I wake up and make breakfast for the kids. I drink my coffee. I walk the dog, and then I start my day. Like that's my routine.
Love it.
So coolest places. So I'm from San Diego area. Like I said, small town up in the hills. I mean, getting drafted by your hometown team, playing for your hometown team, playing in San Diego, like
unreal.
San Diego is beautiful. If no one's been there, go experience it. It's just, people don't like it because of San Diego, it's California, but like the place itself, especially now, like that field is immaculate.
Gorgeous. I've seen a game from there, bro. I've seen a game. I was in the stands. I was actually in one of the, like a box, dude. I got like a whole experience, man. Unbelievable spot. Big ballpark.
Yeah.
Big ballpark, but gorgeous. And the vibes all around, dude.
Yeah.
Love it.
I mean, ballpark was huge when I played. Like I want to say right center was like 420, and like all the hitters always complained about the field because back then there was just a lot of like X factors. Like there wasn't as many buildings, so they had this wind that would come from like center field and it would come straight in from center field. So any balls that were hit left center to right center, they were not going out. So you knew it. I'm throwing fastballs middle. You hit as far as you want. It's not going out.
You want them to do that, yeah.
Yeah, they would crush it, and they would just stay in the air forever, and then the center fielder would just catch it at the track. And I'm like, holy mackerel, that should have been way gone.
I love it.
But
I love it.
I love seeing, like I said, drafted by them, played for them. You can't beat playing for your hometown team. Going places, I love going and playing LA, and I love playing San Fran. Being a West
Ooh,
Coast guy, San Fran, that's when they were good forever. So like they were, no matter if it was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they were sold out games every game, and that's when they were winning all the World Series. Like, my first year was 12, so I was their first year, and like every time you would go there, it was sold out. It was packed. Like their fans are good. They're like into the game the whole time. Like it was wild.
I
And
love
like
that.
for me, like I hated playing against them because I know they were good, but they also, the way they carried themselves on the fields, like they knew they were better than everybody. And I was like, I couldn't stand. Like I want to beat these guys so bad right now. Even when they walked on your field, they'd come to San Diego. It'd be 70% San Francisco fans. You're like, get out of here. What is this? So I was like,
Travel well.
I love playing them because they were good. Like I was like playing the better teams. LA, you go in that place and it's packed. It's 70,000 people and it's rocking. Like their sound system they have in center field is by far the best one in the big leagues. Like I want to say they got 50 speakers in center field, and you can feel the bass when you're in the bullpen, like and it's rumbling in your chest. When Matt Kemp would come up or Carl Crawford, these guys were coming up, like it was just in your chest.
I love that,
So
man.
I mean, growing up, San Diego, like, is like whatever, FLA. So like playing against them was always fun.
Man,
And then obviously like the Cubs are awesome. The Yankees, Boston's, like those are always awesome. But you only play there like for 3 or 4 games, and then you're out of there. So you don't really get to experience it as much as you do when you're playing somebody in division.
for sure. For sure.
So
That makes sense, dude. That makes sense. The West Coast, never got to experience like any of the West Coast stadiums, man. Got to experience, shit, debuted in Fenway. So
yeah,
I was shaking in my boots out in center field in
exactly.
Fenway,
Yeah.
dude. Got to experience like Comerica, the Tigers, and dude, it was awesome, man. The Royals
Yeah.
spot was awesome, dude. Kaufman was awesome. Love that
Mhm.
place, dude. But it's cool to hear, dude. Definitely wanted to hear about that. Man, so couple more questions I got for you, Nick. Obviously, dude, I'm so appreciative of your time. Love that you're here. So we talked about the progression, the journey, the progression
Mhm.
through college, getting seen, getting a chance, going through the minor leagues, the getting to the big leagues, man, the longevity in the big leagues. I wanted to talk and ask you a personal question about the big league money. So when I was in the big leagues, I came from not, dude. We talked about in AAA, dude.
Yeah.
I was clearing $900
Mhm.
in AAA at 27 years old. I got to the big leagues later that year, and my first big league check for 2 weeks up there, I was major league minimum, and at the time it
Yeah.
was like 500 and something. Like, dude, I got a check for 20 grand, and like
Mhm.
my world, like it just made everything like worth it, dude.
Yeah.
Man, if you could just dude, this coming from an 18th round draft pick, a dude
Yeah.
that's 130 pounds in high school, a dude that's
Mhm.
throwing 90, could you just maybe peel the layer back a little bit and just shed some light on what was the biggest 2 week check or biggest like paycheck you ever got in the show just bring everybody back down to earth?
Uh, so I like you're saying, going from the minor leagues to big leagues, it's the biggest like jump in money to get a job promotion. Like it has to be the biggest. I don't even know. But I remember, so I got protected my in 2011. So my first year on the 40-man roster was 2012. So I was making, first year was like 39 or something. And then if you get called up that first year, it doubles. So it goes to like 80. And I remember making, I think I was up there for what, 2 days, and I got my 2 week check, and it was like 6,000 something. I was like, holy mackerel, like I'm balling. So I went out, I bought myself an iMac computer. I was like, that's my present for get to do. Like, that's what I'm getting. And then the second time when I went up, it was up for like 5 days, and I got my check, and it was like 13,000. I was like, holy mackerels,
We're doing it.
this is wild. And I think we ended up, what, I got sent down, and I think it was, I want to say a couple of days before All-Star break for the AAA, and they were in Vegas. So I was like, I'm gonna drive to Vegas, meet the team there. I was like, we're going to have some fun tonight. Like pretty much, I mean, the minor leagues, the teams when they go out, you got the boys, like everybody's going out.
Yeah.
And luckily, there was other guys that were on the 40-man roster, big leaguers on AAA. So we all went out. I think we spent probably $12,000 out there. I think I handed over 2,500. Like bought like, but you think you're rich until you go to Vegas. You go to Vegas, you're like, wow,
Yeah.
it's not ideal. But no, I think my first 2 week paycheck in the big leagues was in Colorado, and I was like jacked about it. I was like, all right, I get to see the first full paycheck. Let's open it up. It says $4,000. I don't know, whatever cents. And I'm like, my heart like stopped. I'm like, what? And I guess on the 401k, the Vanguard thing, I checked, take it all out, and there was $17,000 just went away to that. I was like,
oh,
and I was so upset. I was like, oh my god, that was all the money that I just worked for, and just gone.
100%. Probably such a smart idea though. Now that you think about it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, that was like, you don't think about that. You're like, I need that money. I want that money. But now it's like, all right, it's in a good spot. Like long-term wise, we're way better.
For sure. Bro.
But it was just so funny. I was like, that's going to be my first one. And I was just like, what did I do?
What
happened? I was like, where did it all go? But I don't know. The biggest ones were when I was in Seattle, I think I made a 1 year 2.75. I think the checks were like almost 9. They were almost, I think sometimes there were 3 numbers before the comments. I think they were around like 96,000 every 2 weeks.
Oh,
so, but that's only 2.75.
Yeah, dude. I know.
I saw the spreadsheet of the big dogs, the Canoes, and those guys, and like what they were making per game, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me,
dude!"
Cano was what, 22 million? I think he was making like 140 a game or something.
That's fucking mind blowing.
That's mind blowing. It's amazing.
Good for you. I remember, dude. So in 2018, Jason Worth signed like with he came with. So he was in Tacoma with me. Yep. And I grew up in Philadelphia, dude. I went to go see him at the World Series parade when they won it in Philadelphia, dude. I'm a big fan of him. Yeah. And so like I wasn't playing that game, the first game he was there. So like he was DHing, and so he's spending time on the bench, dude. So like I get to talking with him, introduce myself, and then like probably within 20, 30 minutes, we're talking about the type of money he was making. And like he was not shy about it, because obviously you go online and you can see what all these guys make, right? Like it's public information, dude. Just to break it down, he was breaking it down like at bat by game. And like, obviously I don't remember the numbers, but they were just fucking astronomical. It's awesome to see, dude. So I wanted to touch on that because like there might be a 135-pound kid in high school right now with major league dreams and just throwing fucking 80, right? And just, there's no hope. Like you're undersized, you're undervalued. And like to potentially make, 6 figures every 2 weeks, like clearing, it's like, dude, it can change your life if you just fucking stick with it.
Oh yeah. It's, I mean, that's what I mean. Like what separated, I think the biggest thing is like, you got to separate yourself from everybody else, which is hard now because everybody throws hard and they got one wipeout pitch. So it's hard to separate yourself from others. But like me, like I learned the cutter, I think 2010. That's when I was the long guy in high A from being, I was like, I got to figure something out because my slider was just like, it was loopy. And it was like too horizontal because like, so guys were just hitting it. And I was like, I got to find something else. It was mainly lefties. So I was like, I need to figure out something that I can get inside and it stays in there. Because my forcing fastball, like it would start there and then run middle and it'd get hit. So I was like, I need something that just like stays in there that's small. And I learned the cutter, and like literally after I learned that, it was just up.
I love that, dude. I remember I had one at bat against you my whole entire career. We were at Sacramento. We were in Sacramento, so I guess you were with the Giants at the time. It's 2019.
I was rehabbing, right?
Yep, 2019, dude. Yep. And obviously, like I knew you're a cutter guy. Yep. Like at some point, you're gonna attack me with a cutter. And I think first pitch was a cutter in. You fucking broke my bat, dude. And I rolled over to second base. Like I know it's coming, and you still can't even like protect against it. You still can't like do damage on it. Is it a certain way that you hold the ball, or is it a way that you like throw it? Like what is the secret behind the cutter? Is it the grip? Is it the way you pronate? Like what is that?
To me, like I said, like I never threw hard. So I was always a smaller guy. Like I always knew, even in junior college, I knew like my fastball played, and it was 88 and 89. But like if it was up, like guys weren't hitting it. And that was back before spin rate was a thing and all that. Like I have a lot of deception in my motion and X factors that you can't calculate behind all these numbers. And to this day, like even in my last year, like if I was 0-2, 1-2, like I was throwing fastballs up and I was probably gonna throw by you at 87 miles an hour. And that's just what I did, because it was more of like, I'm going to throw as hard as I can, and it goes where it goes if it's 0-2 or 1-2. That's what I tell guys. If you're trying to throw a fastball up, throw as hard as you can. It's going to go up. You're not going to get it down.
100%.
But the cutter, like I said, once I learned that, and I told the catcher, I was like, hey, if you call fastballs away to righties or into lefties, I was like, just expect it to like move a little bit. And I think I broke like 3 bats in 2 innings, and I was like, I came in to my pitching coach, I was like, this is the best pitch ever. Like, why are you guys not teaching this to guys? And he goes, hey, we're not, we can do so much here, we can't do everything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So he's like, we're not supposed to do a lot of stuff. So
dude, you learn it or you don't. Yeah. And that separates you, right? You have the skill set you have. You're in the position that you're in, and it's like you learned it and you progressed. The other guys didn't learn it and they didn't separate, right?
Yeah. Well, because I mean, in the Padres too, they were a big changeup team, and they wanted me to throw changeup. And I was like, I can't. I'll try, but like every time I threw it, I give up homers, and I was like, at a certain point, I was like, I'm done throwing. I don't care if they get mad at me or not. Like, this is not helping me perform on the field. It's not helping our team. I'm a big team guy. Like, either you win or you lose. Like, I don't care about my stuff, but if you take care of your stuff and you do your job on the mound, your team's more likely going to win. And I'm a big role model of like what you do on the field, like that continues to the next guy. So if you're out there, you get in there, you do your job quick, 1, 2, 3, hand the ball to the next guy. Like that was how my mentality in pitching was like, I want to get in there, I want to do my job, I want to do 1, 2, 3. If I get into a jam, get out of it, and then give it to the next guy. Like I never wanted a reliever to come in to do your job.
I love that.
I learned early on, like just being competitive, being focused for that short term, like as a reliever, like just lock it in, like just don't let anybody score. It's harder said than done. They're gonna score, but like if you have the mentality most of the time, like you're gonna do good. And as a reliever, it's the opposite of hitting. It's like you got to go out there and do good 7 out of 10 times versus hitting. It's 3 out of 10. You're doing great. So like when you go out, but it's harder to score. So for relieving, that was my thing. I was like, I'll take out. I think they used to say if you take 2 of your worst outings out, and then you calculate your numbers, like that's what they should be.
Okay, no, that makes
it's
sense.
Harder for hitters. Like I'm sure hitters is probably like 2 weeks, but like that's how I would calculate my stuff. So like I'll have some. You house gonna blow up. Like I gave the 5 runs, and I got called up, kind of deal.
Love it.
That's not you, but that's what happened. Is what it is. Nothing to do about it.
For sure. I love all that, dude. I love all that.
The cutter was definitely the thing that separated me from everybody else that I was playing against. Because back then it was fastball, slider, changeup.
Yeah.
There was maybe
dude, in a world, not to cut you off, where everybody's throwing 100 right now. Right? Like just the little shit that you could do to separate yourself. Like, dude, everybody's throwing 100. You throw 90 miles an hour and you factor in a cutter, and like you're playing parts of 10 seasons in the big leagues, right? Have a long, successful career. It's like whatever you can do to separate and stand out, like got to improvise, adapt, and overcome, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's what I was pretty humble. I was humble about my whole way with baseball. I was like, I gave myself 5 years. If I didn't make it onto the roster or to the big leagues by then, like I was going to go back doing construction. Because that's what at junior college, when I tried for the team, I was doing construction with my dad. And I was like, either I make the team and play junior college, or I'm doing construction. Like it wasn't like I have to play baseball.
I love that, man.
So
I love that, dude.
The cutter was a pitch for me that separated me, and it had late life, so it was good. And like I look at now that I look at the numbers, it was more of a hard slider. Like it was like a -6 and -6. Like it wasn't a cutter. It got more cutterish later on in my career. But like at the beginning, it was like a tight slider with fastball spin. Like I was like, how do I throw that?
That's lights out.
In 22, I kind of got back to being where I was at, and I think I had the best stretch of my career in my last 2 months I ever played. Like I didn't give up a run for 2 months in Detroit.
That's amazing.
Or Toledo, wherever they're at.
That's big time, dude. So I ran you through the gauntlet, all the questions about your career, the success, man, the advice to the next generation. I absolutely love it. Nick, the last question I got for you, so appreciative of the time that you're taking out to talk to me and my audience, man, or I should say my audience and I is the correct English for my OCD listeners like myself. Dude, so you're facing a lineup, man, whether it's in the big leagues, minor leagues, college, whatever it is. Man, what is a good 9-hole hitter? So like if when you think about a lineup, you think about, a leadoff hitter supposed to get on base, set the table, the middle of the order is supposed to drive them in. Like this is the 9-hole podcast, right? For the underdogs, the little guys, the guys that weren't supposed to make it, right? What is a good 9-hole hitter? What are the traits and characteristics of a good 9-hole hitter? What is a 9-hole hitter that you don't want to fucking face? What's he able to do?
So to me, the hardest team that I had to face ever was the Angels. They're 7, 8, 9. I don't know what it was. I still think they got something on me that I couldn't figure out. But if I had to face those guys, I was going to get in trouble. And then it was you get to the top of the lineup and you're in trouble. But I think the biggest thing is they foul pitches off. They make you throw pitches. They put you in long innings. And once you, as a reliever, you get past that 15 pitch mark, like your stuff starts losing its effectiveness.
Yeah.
So, like, if I had to face those guys and it was first and third with one out, and now I got the top of the lineup, the Trout, Upton, all those guys, I was like, oh boy, here we go. So that makes your job as a reliever way harder. And that was my thing. I was like, keep those pitches. If you can go 50 pitches under, like, you're doing good as a reliever. You get over that, you're gonna have tough days.
Yeah.
And it's just a longevity thing of that. Like, you pitch more like, say, 20 pitches. Now your arm's sore for the next day, but you still have to be ready. So the 7, 8, 9 guys, like, to me, it's when they're pesky and they just kind of waste pitches on the pitcher, they frustrate him, they do that, and they do their job good enough to get the top of the lineup. They even get on base. They get a walk out of it. Now he's 15, 20 pitches in the inning. You guys got 2 guys on, you're 8 and 9 hole hitters. And now the top of the lineup comes, and now the big dogs are up. Now it's a lot harder for a reliever to get out of that.
For sure. Not giving in, not conceding, right?
Yeah.
Not just fouling pitches off, dude, being pesky.
Grinding it out. Just the same thing as I always tell you is, like, 1 versus 1, like, just beat the pitcher. That's the biggest thing. Grind it out. Make him on his good pitches, you foul it off. He throws that one bad pitch, all right, now you got a single somewhere or a homer or whatever you want to call it.
Love it.
But prolonging the inning is the biggest thing for those guys.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wonderfully said, Nick, man. I am so grateful for your time, dude. I appreciate you coming on here. Let me run you through the gauntlet here on the 9 Hole podcast, dude. Blessing myself and my audience just with your story, just answering some questions, man, kind of just peeling back the layers into the life, dude, the grind, the journey, dude. I am so grateful for you being here, Nick Vincent. Thank you for your time, man. We will catch you again soon.
All righty. Thanks. It was a pleasure.
Of course. We'll catch you guys here again on Friday. Take care, everybody. Thank you again, Nick.
Adios.